My name is Ellen Schrecker, and I'm a historian. During the 1930s, the Communist Party was the most effective and largest organization on the left. And about somewhere between 75 and 100,000 people passed through it. These people were not revolutionaries. They wanted a better world. They were very idealistic. I really do believe that. But they were not thinking of organizing a violent revolution. Nobody was thinking about that. The Communist Party was disproportionately Jewish in the United States. Why? In large part because many of these people came from backgrounds in Europe that were on the left. But also because there was anti-Semitism in the United States. It was very virulent in the 1930s and early 40s.
My name is Tilly Ruth Texera, and occupation, as you can see from my hair, is retired. I worked in public health at Harvard, and my family was Jewish. Half became communists. My mother made a trip to Europe in 1930, and she saw the marching and of the SS, and she was afraid, and they said, "Oh no, it would never happen." And then I can remember listening to the radio and feeling darkness.
The FBI really had as its goal the elimination of communist influence within the United States, and they planned to do it mainly through the use of economic sanctions.
My name's Mark Solomon. I was a student at Harvard. It was very difficult. I get a message from a friend, and he said he'd like to talk to me, and something's come up which he'd like to let me know about. And he tells me that they have a letter on you. And I said, "What kind of letter?" He says, "Well, it's an anonymous letter." And basically what it is it's a letter that says, what is a fine institution like yours doing with a turd like this? That kind of letter. And I immediately said, that's an FBI thing.
The FBI, after 1956, began to do more dirty tricks itself. We inaugurated a program called COINTELPRO, which is short for Counterintelligence Program, in which they would do things like spread rumors. They had a practice of sending letters to people's political associates, and they would try to get people fired from their jobs and things like that. So but it was secret.
And when I did get my FBI file, which is very incomplete, there were notations in there from the Boston district of the FBI to the director, namely Hoover, asking if they should go ahead with some kind of campaign to discredit me and get me out of Harvard. And his response was, "Yes, go ahead and do it, but be very careful about the sources that you use so as not to expose the FBI's role in this." Those are pretty much the exact words.
So, among other things, what the FBI did was develop what it called a responsibilities program, whereby an FBI agent would come to the office of a governor of a state or a college president and hand them a piece of paper. It was always specified in the FBI records, an unwatermarked, untraceable blind memo, I think they were called, which just listed somebody's name and all of the incriminating associations that person had.
Leon Kamen, and I'm a retired professor. I was born in Taunton, Massachusetts, December 29th, 1927. As a young man at Harvard as an undergraduate, I had joined the Communist Party. And when I had the subpoena, I decided to go and talk to the dean and say, "Look, I have this subpoena, and the position I'm going to take is I'll talk about my own activities, but I won't answer any questions that involve naming other people. And I hoped that he would support that. He didn't really support it. He said, well, okay, I'm glad you came. But I know that you were subpoenaed. I was informed about it. I'm in daily contact, in fact, with the Boston office of the FBI, and they let me know always in advance about cases like yours. But thanks for coming by anyway.
The main reason why McCarthyism was so successful was that there was widespread collaboration by mainstream institutions within American life, up to and including the Supreme Court. In other words, during the 1950s, up until 1956 or so, the Supreme Court would justify many of these violations of people's civil rights by relying on the invocation of national security, that, we are in war, it's an existential crisis, we're in all but a shooting war with the Soviet Union, America's security is at stake, and in normal times, of course, we wouldn't let people be fired on the say-so of a unidentified informer, but this is war, this is a crisis, we have to let it go. And so the collusion of college presidents firing people who are named by the FBI secretly, the collusion of the Supreme Court allowing this kind of practice to take place, really allowed McCarthyism to run wild through the United States.